So this is very much what you can do in an emergency if you've not left your dog before, or your dog has been home with you for the last 14 months. This is very much this is a kind of whistle stop tour of how to get your dog used to being home on their own in 3 weeks. As you just said, it's not just lockdown puppies. There are so many people who have gone out and got dogs during lockdown. Apparently before lockdown, we had 9 million dogs in the UK. We now have 12.5 million dogs in the UK. So we've got 3.5 million more dogs in the country than we had before lockdown, which is extraordinary. And lots of those people are people who never could have a dog before because of their working lives. So lockdown gave them the opportunity to go and get a puppy, and of course they've been at home, so the puppies get used to having them there. So first of all, we've got an awful lot more dogs. We've got a lot of owners who are first-time dog owners because they've not been able to have a dog before. So it's also just trying to help these people prepare their puppies or their dogs for what's about to come. Yeah. So the very first thing you need to do is assess where your dog is at the moment. So first of all, look for all the possible telltale signs that your dog is possibly going to struggle when you go back to work or when they're going to be left. So one of the telltale signs is your dog follows you around the house all the time. Because that's quite often. Sometimes it's a dog who just wants to go, where are you going? Is it going to be fun? Can I come too? This could be a nice outing. But there's other dogs who just can't let their owners out their sights, and so they have to follow them everywhere. So you'll never go to the toilet on your own again. You'll never go to the shower on your own again because your dog's going to be there all the time. So those are the kind of dogs who you can almost be sure are going to struggle, because what they're not good at doing is coping with being on their own. The other thing you need to assess is, have you regularly been leaving your dog on your own during lockdown? One of the things we do when we take puppies into our lives is we socialize them and we habituate them. And what we try to do is try to give them chances to experience all the things that are going to be part of their life as an adult dog, as a family dog. So hopefully during the lockdown period, you have been giving your dog opportunities to be on their own and just to learn some home alone skills. Being home alone doesn't come naturally for a dog. Dogs are a social species. It's one of the reasons why they bond so closely to us and why they make such fantastic companions, because they are a really social species. So being on their own is absolutely not natural, and they have to learn that it's safe. So hopefully over the past 14 months, you've been going to the shops or you've been going out for your walks, and there's been times when you've left the dog on their own. If you haven't, then there's more of a possibility that you're going to have problems when you go back to work. Is your dog generally confident and secure? It's the confident and secure dogs don't generally have any problems being left. It's the slightly less confident dogs that quite often struggle. So if you've got a really confident, secure dog that doesn't have to follow you around the house and that you've been leaving alone for half an hour every now and then, you're probably not going to have too many problems. Also, does your dog already show any symptoms of separation anxiety? And there's all kinds of symptoms. We lump all these behaviours together and we call it separation anxiety, but it's actually separation-related behaviour problems. And so there's all kinds of different symptoms of those. So that could be that your dog vocalises when you leave. So they bark or they whine or they howl when you leave. Panting and drooling, that's another sign of separation anxiety because it's a stress behaviour. Pacing up and down when you leave. Loss of toilet training is a big one. If your dog is normally perfectly toilet trained, but when you go out and leave them, you come back and you find that they have had accidents in the house and you've not left them for too long, then you can almost guarantee that this is part of a separation anxiety problem. Same with destructiveness. Dogs chew to make themselves feel better. When dogs chew, it releases all the feel-good neurochemicals in their brain, the dopamine and the serotonin that makes them feel fantastic. So dogs chew to reduce stress, to reduce anxiety. So quite often if you leave them, you'll come back to them having chewed furniture or chewed the carpet, or in some cases even chewed themselves. Quite often dogs with severe separation anxieties will gnaw their paws and will really self-mutilate quite badly because the chewing is an absolute stress reliever for them. So destructiveness and just general anxiety. Dogs who are always worried that they're going to be left just start to be a little bit more anxious in their behaviours. So if you see any of those behaviours already, and if you know your dog does any of those behaviours already, you can guarantee that your dog already has separation-related behaviour problems. And separation anxieties don't get better, they get worse, always. You can't just say, oh, he'll get used to being on his own. He won't. Every time you leave, he's going to be more panicked, it's going to be more stressful. And so that's something you need to work at now. Don't think it'll be all right. I'll just buy the neighbour some earplugs, go back to work in 3 weeks' time and it'll all be fine, because it won't. So if you have seen any of those symptoms already, get in touch with a behaviourist. One of the great things about lockdown and about COVID, one of the few good things about lockdown and COVID, is that so many behaviourists are now doing online consultations. So they don't have to come to your house. They can see what your dog does remotely, and they can advise you remotely. So you don't have to have somebody coming to your house and doing all those things. But if you see symptoms of separation anxiety already in your dog, get on the phone to a good accredited behaviourist who has experience working with separation anxiety, and they'll help you develop a program to help your dog through the separation anxiety. People quite often think my dog's being bad, or he's trying to make me feel guilty for leaving him. That's why he, poos on the bed or chews up my furniture when I leave. And it's not. Separation anxiety in dogs, bad separation anxiety in dogs, is almost like a full-scale human panic attack. The dog doesn't have any particular control of what they're doing. They're just in such a state of anxiety, they'll do anything they can to relieve that anxiety. And that might be barking, pacing, panting, loss of toilet training, chewing, destructive behaviours, trying to escape, scratching at carpets. It's not the dog being naughty, it's a dog really, really struggling. So do an assessment. If your dog doesn't have any symptoms of separation anxiety, if your dog is confident, doesn't have to follow you all over the place, then you're good to go. You can kind of move on to the next bit of the becoming a home alone hero.